Welcome back to another episode of Lessons in Leverage, where we explore the skills, mindsets, and strategies that help us achieve more with less. I'm your host, Spencer Lowe. Today we're diving into a principle that can dramatically improve your project management prowess, the principle of no surprises. Ever wondered how to become the person others trust because you never catch them off guard? Tune in to discover how to anticipate problems, communicate effectively, and set expectations that build strong, reliable relationships both internally and externally.
Welcome to Lessons in Leverage, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of success. We'll help you unlock the secrets of leverage so you can amplify your impact in the world. Here's your host, Spencer Lowe.
No surprises is a basic project management principle that I like to teach and live by, which takes advantage of this really important truth about humans, which is humans are incredibly resilient to problems, to change when they know it's coming. But when they're surprised about it, they can be very emotional and scared and operate in ways that are challenging to deal with. And so one of the easiest tactics to adopt in terms of how you interact, both internally with your leaders and with your peers, as well as externally with our clients, is to figure out, where am I surprising people? And what do I need to change in my habits, my process, my skills, so that I stop surprising people? How do I take the variance out of that? Now, here's what that doesn't mean. That doesn't mean that surprises aren't going to pop up or that unexpected things will never occur. They will. That's normal. The question is, what do you do with that information when it becomes available to you? And the answer to that should be that you get a plan in place and you communicate about it quickly and you get as far ahead of it as possible. And so if you're finding that there are times where you're surprising a boss, where you're surprising a coworker, where you're surprising the client, that's an immediate point of self-reflection to figure out, is this a skill I need to develop? Is it a communication plan I need to update, so where I communicate differently on a different cadence or in a different way? Is this, where in my process did things break down that I can start to anticipate this in the future? Most problems can be anticipated. And as you gain experience and as you continue to refine your skills, you will start to anticipate them. But if you see an area where you're not anticipating a problem, and especially if that's happening on a recurring basis, target that and be like, I try to live by the principle of no surprises. How do I take the variability out of this? How do I stop surprising people on this? And there are many skills, but a few that you might find is, one is just communicating assumptions instead of not sharing them. So the difference between, I'll have that done Friday, or I believe I can have that done Friday, but I'm assuming right now that I'm going to have these 5 hours available on Wednesday and that I can then get it all tested, delivered, etc., and ready for you on Friday. Those 5 hours, sometimes I have other things that come up. And so I'll let you know on Wednesday if for some reason there's a conflict there and the date needs to be moved. But you'll know Wednesday that something came up, not Friday. I'm not going to just throw that on you last minute. Now, this is more detail than you give a client. This is more of an internal example, but the point is the same. With a client, I'm not going to give them that additional information, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my assumptions, and if my assumptions don't leave appropriate amounts of wiggle room for the things that I know could come up, I'm going to set a more conservative expectation with the client so that I can navigate all that internally successfully and still meet or exceed their expectations. And that means sometimes giving the client a date that's further out than they want or a budget that's larger than they want. And when they ask why, you then get to explain, hey, I have a lot of assumptions I'm making here. And I want to set the most reasonable expectation possible. My goal is always to meet or exceed that expectation. But if I give you a best case estimate or a no risk estimate, and I don't put some padding in and account for some of the things that I've seen in the past that might go wrong, then I'm setting you up to fail. And so what I do is I build some of that into my estimate, and then I work to mitigate those risks so that hopefully we can come in under estimate or before the date I give you. And then you go do that for clients. And when they see a pattern of, okay, sometimes estimates are bigger than I want or the date's longer than I want, but regularly they're coming in earlier and under budget, that creates such a positive feedback loop for them where they trust you more, they're excited to work with you, and they want you to do more work with them because they've not had that experience with most people. And so this is why the principle of no surprises is so valuable, is because as you master it in all areas of your life, the way people see you changes. Your value changes, despite the fact that none of the underlying work may be changed. It's just your ability to set expectations, communicate those, and manage to those. And that is, by and large, a project management skill set, but it's a soft skill that will make you wildly successful.
Hey, before you go, I have a small request. Our mission is to empower as many people as possible to maximize their potential through the power of leverage. Could you help us in this mission by leaving a review on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube? And if you know just one person who would benefit from today's episode, would you please share it with them? Your support means the world to us, and we are thrilled to have you in the community. Thank you for being a part of our journey and helping us grow. You can find show notes for today's show and past shows at lessonsinleverage.com, which also has links to connect with me personally and connect with our various podcast channels across your favorite social networks. A big thanks to Solve.cloud, who sponsored this episode. They're a group of expert consultants that help SaaS and financial services companies to implement, optimize, and manage Salesforce.com. They can help you with custom integration solutions and are helping customers to implement some of the most important generative AI technologies. You can find them at solved.cloud. That's SOLVD.cloud is the URL. Thanks again, and we'll talk soon.